Peace and blessings, Mishpachah. All praises to the Most High. This is the day that the Most High has made, and we do rejoice in it, and we are glad. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you. This is Shabbat. This is the day that we celebrate Shabbat, and we observe it, and we keep it holy. We're going to have a wonderful discussion. Once again, we're talking about the B'nai Elohim, but this week, we're talking about the B'nai Elohim and their relationship to, yes, their relationship to MetaTron. Where did MetaTron come from? We're going to talk about it, and you know what? We're going to have a wonderful discussion.
See, I have this day set thee over the nations and over the kingdoms, to root out and to pull down, to destroy and to throw down, to build and to plant.
Peace and blessings to you once again. We are back and we're happy to be back. Yes, we are celebrating the presence of the Most High. We're celebrating communion with the Most High, who goes by the name of Yah, according to Psalms 68 and 4, and we do exalt and magnify Him. We serve you. Notice that this is, warning, this is a Yah only session, lesson, channel, whatever you want to call it. We are Yah only, we are Tanakh only, and we are proudly so. For those of you that wonder in YouTube where we stand as far as that is concerned, all the content and material upon this channel is going to be, it's going to be fair use. And so, hey, we got a lot to talk about. So you know what? We got to show you this. We have the common license, and so, hey, we can go ahead and share things that are necessary for us to teach and to comment on here on this channel. Once again, for those of you that are new, I am Malkia Uriel, and we have a wonderful topic on today, talking about the B'nai Elohim once again. But before we do that, we are those that love to get into the word of the Most High, but we also love to do two other things. We love to pray, and we love to give praise unto the Most High. And in preparing ourselves for prayer, we make sure that we forgive ourselves for stupid things that we've done, for missing the mark, for not even living up to our own standards, for letting ourselves down, and for doing those things that are contradictive to our very nature. We forgive ourselves first, and so then we forgive others that need to be forgiven, those that have rightfully repented. We drop all baggage, and we prepare ourselves to go into the presence of the Most High. And so with that being stated, we do prepare to pray. So hey, let's get ready. Do all that as we prepare to pray. And so with that being the case, let us go ahead and let us magnify the Most High. Blessed are you, O Most High Elyon, for you know that we are the people of your covenant, and we come before you, and nachnu ro'im lifnecha yo'o. We come before you and we exalt you in all things. You are everything unto us. Gam, we would also ask that you forgive us. Forgive us for sin. Forgive us for missing the mark. Forgive us for not hitting the exact target of obedience. And not only that, but have mercy upon us. We ask that you would assist us as we attempt to open our eyes and our hearts and our ears to your truth and to your will. In your name, Yahweh, we bless you, we honor you, and we praise you. Bless everyone that will come to listen, to hear, to be with us in this time of sharing. We ask that you would illuminate us and cause us to understand that we have not understood. And we ask now, give unto us insight. May your kingdom come. May your will be done. May Israel be revived. In your name, Yah, and in your name alone. Aman wa aman. All right, we give unto him praise, glory, and honor. We are happy. We are happy. We are happy. And so those of you coming in, we want to say that you are welcome to come on in, wiggle your toes, take off your shoes, relax, get you something to drink, grab your favorite mug, because we stand in this place on this Yah only channel declaring our allegiance unto him. And in so doing, we say before each and every one of you that we live the covenant of the Most High that is abbreviated in that which is called the Ten Commandments according to Deuteronomy 4:13. We therefore, we will not have any other Elohim but the one true Elohim, our Elohim, Yah, as he is called in Psalms 68:4. We will have no other Elohim before him, and everyone says, Aman wa aman. We will not make anything to bow down to it and to worship it. We will not worship the creations of our own hands, neither the creation of our own minds, nor the dreams of our own heart, but we will stand before the Most High and exalt him and him alone. And everyone said, Aman wa aman. We will not take his name and his character in vain, but we are in league with him, and we walk accordingly. We walk in holiness, and we are sanctified unto him. He registers in our dress, in our food, in how we share and spend our time. We acknowledge him in every facet, in every area of our lives. And to this we say, Aman wa aman. We remember Shabbat to keep it holy. And we all say, Aman wa aman. We do honor our mothers and our fathers, our ancestors that have gone on before us. While we may choose to follow the cultural practice of pouring libation unto them, we do not leave food out unto them, but we do honor them and respect their teaching, and we honor and respect them. And to this we say, Aman wa aman. We will not commit murder. We will not shed innocent blood. And to this we say, Aman wa aman. We will not commit adultery. We will not violate that which belongs to another man and to another family. We will not violate the heritage of another. And to this we say, Aman wa aman. And we will not be false witnesses in a court of law. And we say, Aman wa aman. And we will not desire nor covet nor try by deceptive means or any means to take away from our neighbor that belongs to our neighbor. And to this we say, Aman wa aman. And so we give the Most High praise. We stand with him. We stand in his covenant. We stand with him. And so we live a life of worship before him. I'm Melchi Uriel, and as you know, I said we love to do two things. We love to get into the word. We also love to praise. And you know what? We are getting ready to give the Most High praise. Now, please keep in mind, this is not about having a perfect voice, but it's more so about having a perfect heart before the Most High, and being willing, being desirous of praising Him, magnifying Him. And so with this, we're going into the scriptures, and we're going to go right into the place of praise in the Tanakh, which is the Tehillim. We're going into the Psalms, and here we go. We're going in, and we're going to begin with Psalms 34, 1 through 3. Here we go.
Bless Yah at all times. His praises shall be continually in my mouth. My soul makes her boast in Yah. The humble shall hear thereof and be glad, be glad, be glad. Exalt His name together. I sought Yah and He heard me, delivered me from all my fears, and let the freedom flame so very glad. Ooh.
All right, we can get carried away with that, having fun, but you know what? We love to magnify the Most High and to give Him praise. And you know what? We're going to say, hey, who turned the lights on? Who turned the lights on this morning? It was none other than my brother from another mother. Yes, my brother Bergen Paris. Peace and blessings to you, my brother. He was the first one in, and he turned the lights on this morning. Glad that you did, my brother. Also, right behind him was George Evans, who turned the coffee pot on, and of course we have JP TV up in the house. Hey, we know that our brother Bergen Paris, he's the chief moderator, but hey, the dynamic duo backs him up every time. Talking about Josh and Penny in the house. Yes, definitely here. And hey, I want to give a shout out as well to Christine Croning. Peace and blessings to you, my sister. My sister Hanaya Israel is here. Bless you, my sister. Bless you, bless you, bless you in the Carolinas. I'm never going to put you in London again, okay? I don't know where, I don't know how I did that. But hey, we won't put you in London again unless you want to go there. And yeah, we are glad. Yeshua Yaonli Cooper is in the house. Who else is here? Scrolling down. My sister Jacqueline E. Bugs is in the house. Okay, my sister's letting me know. My sister Jacqueline E. Bugs, she's helping out with the sound, and it looks like there is a problem Says that there is music in the background with interference from a keyboard, notes being played. That is interesting. Um, oh, you know what? I know what that is. I think I do know what that is. Yeah, I do have background music on, and I am trying new things, but I want to make sure that there's no interference. What's getting me right now is the interference with the keyboard and notes being played. That is getting me. That is, hold on, I'll tell you what, let me go to a commercial, and I'll check this out, and we'll be right back. Hi, I'm Melky Uriel, and I'm excited to offer you a brand new course at Navi Beta Academy. One of the first courses that we're developing at Navi Beta Academy, and we're welcoming you. It's called the Hebrew Memorization Course, and perhaps you've been reading some Hebrew reference materials, and you note that the paragraphs are numbered by the Hebrew alphabet, as well as the verses. And you're wondering, well, how do I know which is which? If I want to go to a particular paragraph, how do I do that? You may also be wondering, well, how do I memorize the 10 Commandments? I want to be able to memorize the 10 Commandments and know them frontwards and back, and be able to recall them in order, and to know which commandment is which. As well as the Hebrew alphabet. I want to know the Hebrew alphabet and their numerical values from 1 to 400. I'm here to tell you that you can do that now. Now there is a course here at Navi Beta Academy where you will memorize the Hebrew alphabet from 1 to 22 and their numerical values from 1 to 400, as well as the 10 Commandments. All anyone will be able to have to do is to just either speak the number or the Hebrew alphabet, and you will be able to recall it. It's as simple as thinking of a number like 19, and 19 in the Hebrew alphabet is Qaf, which its numerical value is 100, and its paleographic Hebrew symbol is that of the horizon. Let's say 3, right? Just a random number. 3 in the Hebrew alphabet is Gimel, and its paleographic Hebrew symbol is that of the foot, and also its number is 3. But guess what? Since it's 1 through 10, number 3 would represent the third commandment of the 10 Commandments, which is, thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Well, how am I able to do that? I'm able to do that because I've been using this system for some time now, and I'm willing to offer to you through this course at Navi Beta Academy. That's right. You can take your time. If it takes you a week, if it takes you a month, if it takes you 2 years, it's up to you to just study at your own pace. The only thing we ask you to do is just to dig in with us. And I'll even let you in on a secret. You can start the course for free. So thank you very much, and we can't wait to see you on the other side. Hi, I'm Melky Uriel, and I'm excited to offer you a brand new course at Navi Beta Academy. One of the first courses that we're developing at Navi Beta Academy, and we're welcoming you. It's called the Hebrew Memorization Course, and perhaps you've been reading some Hebrew reference materials, and you note that the paragraphs are numbered by the Hebrew alphabet, as well as the verses. And you're wondering, well, how do I know which is which? If I want to go to a particular paragraph, how do I do that? You may also be wondering, well, how do I memorize the 10 Commandments? I want to be able to memorize the 10 Commandments and know them frontwards and back, and be able to recall them in order. Okay, I hope that everything's fine. I need my sister to let me know. We're just going to move right along. I checked everything out that I could, and it seems as if, I don't know, everything is fine on my end. But my sister's going to let me know if something needs to be addressed again. So, hey, glad that my sister's here. My sister Jacqueline E. Bug, It's All Good is also in the house. Peace and blessings to you as well. Who else? We also have Gilbert St. John is in the house. Hey, glad that you're here, my brother. Peace and blessings to you as well. Yeah, let me see. Anyone else? Okay. Okay, and so the question is, can I lower the music that is, thank you, my sister, I will lower the music that is intentionally up in the background. I will do that, okay? I will do that. All right, as we move right along, let me make some changes here. Now, the reason why this has to happen is because I don't hear what you guys hear. I don't hear what you hear. So I do need someone in our live sessions to actually give me the feedback necessary for me to make the adjustments. And so that's what's happening right now. And there's been many times when I've actually finished our sessions together and realized that, you know what? Man, this is off, that's off. So I do appreciate the live correction. I do appreciate that. So we're going to make that happen right now. We're going to lower the music that is in the background, and there we go. Okay. So hopefully that takes care of that. So what we're going to do is, listen, we're going to get into the topic at hand. And the music is still playing in the background, but I am lowering the music. And it's supposed to be only one thing playing. Hopefully there is only one thing playing. Let me see if I can check that out real quick. And I'm sorry, y'all, but I just simply want to do this only because I don't want anything else to distract you. You know what? Hold on here. I'm discovering something. Yeah. Let me take a look at something real quick. I think I know what you all are talking about. I'm gonna have to do this so that I can fix this. I'm sorry, let me go to another commercial. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Melchior Uriel, and I'm so delighted to meet you. I'm glad that you stopped by. I'm glad that you're curious, and I'm glad that you clicked on the video.
All right, I think I found something. Hopefully that is better. And we will, we're going to go ahead and flow with that for right now. Hopefully everything is okay. All right, well, hey, let's get into the topic at hand. Are we all clear? Is everything good? Is everything good? Okay. Hopefully the music is still playing in the background, but hopefully it's at a level that it's not distracting. Give me some feedback, people. Give me some feedback. Okay. All right. Well, let me do this. Let me readjust this one more time. Sounds better, I believe. We like the no music in the background at Melchia. Penny turns into a nickel and a dime. And you make her climb the walls. Okay. All right. Okay, then. Now, I know last time there were actually two different things playing. Every now and then something would play and it would just be so loud. And I discovered that only after the fact. So I said, you know what? We need another set of ears. And so thank you very much, my sisters and my brothers. Thank you, Jacqueline E. Bugs. I do appreciate you, my sister. So with that being the case, I think now we can go ahead and we can get into the topic at hand, which is, once again, we're going to be talking about the B'nai Elohim. Strap on your seatbelts. Here we go. We're going for a ride. Well, let's continue our conversation about the B'nai Elohim, and let's continue that in relationship now to an added piece, to an added individual, with air quotes, and I'm talking about none other than MetaTron. We're going to be dealing with what the scripture says about, not MetaTron, because MetaTron is not in the scriptures, but And when I say scriptures, of course, you know that I mean the Tanakh. Well, let's deal with this, because as we were taking a look at the B'nai Elohim, there's a couple of things that we note as being of significance for us, namely because some of the things that we had discussed before, we were talking about the B'nai Elohim, and we were talking about the fact that yes, that there were beings, if you will, who were the sons of the Most High. And of course, we understand that the sons of the Most High, to be more exacting, we would say Benel Elyon, the sons of Elyon, which is the Most High. And we would definitely note that these sons were divine beings. And on this note, I need to remind you that the Bible, and when I say the Bible, let me just refer to the Tanakh. And let me say the Tanakh and not the Bible. I know I'm splitting hairs for some, but the Tanakh is a very spiritual book. It is a mystical book. It is even a mythical book. It is a book of something, now tongue in cheek, don't throw rocks and stones and bricks through the screen at me, but it does have that lends itself towards fantasy, and that lends itself towards the fantastic. I say that because you have things in scripture noted to be, well, yeah, unicorns and dragons and things of that nature. You have talking animals. You have animals and beings that are circular in nature, that have eyes all around them. And so, long story short, we have a very spiritual book before us. And here is something that I've noticed, that we tend to take this spiritual Eastern book, this book from the East, we take this spiritual book and we want to superimpose our own Western ideologies of empirical science and proof, something that we can measure, something that we can quantitatively hold. And many a times it does not match up. And I think that what's happening is we're actually attempting to put a square in a round hole, or a round peg in a square hole, and it's not working. It does not fit. It does not jive. They do not harmonize. And so it's just one of those things that we have to adjust how we're thinking, and once again embrace the context. Do our best to embrace the original context of the text and who it was really intended for. There's been lots of discussions about this, about the not so much the validity, but about the relevance of the Tanakh, and whether or not we can somehow gather and gain insights for living in our modernistic society by means of an ancient book. And especially when they talk about horses and, draw your swords. I mean, we haven't used swords, for hundreds of years. I know some still have swords today, but you understand what I'm saying. As the main means of warfare and the main means of individual protection, we have not used swords in quite a while. As well as there are scriptures that relate to the coming age and the coming times when the Messianic one will come and everyone will beat their swords and their implements of war. They will change them into implements of agriculture. In other words, they'll change them into things necessary for, planting crops and harvesting crops. Well, that being the case, again, people are scratching their head and saying, well, how do we embrace that? How do we live that? How do we take the Tanakh and how do we live a life in our modern day and age? Well, this becomes increasingly true when people insist that the very God, the very deity, talking about Yah himself, when people insist that, that the real true modern day revelation is that, that there was a second Yahweh, or there was another Yahweh, that one was present on earth and the other was in the heavens, and so forth and so on. And we did have a session regarding the two Yahwehs theory, right? This lends itself to the discussion of Metatron because, just as I've said before, and I will stand flat-footedly on this, Christianity is the love child of rabbinical Judaism and Hellenism. This is what Christianity is. Christianity is the love child of rabbinic Judaism and Hellenism. Without the Hellenistic Jew, there would not be any Christianity. The Hellenistic Jew has taken the esoteric and and even by means of their esotericism, whereby they become so, spiritual in their approach. It came by means of the Perushim, those who would be the Pharisees of the Christian New Testament, and they would come up with fanciful interpretations and come up with many different shades of truth, if you will, and revelation, and they would do things and cause by means of all these different interpretations, they would cause a different understanding to come about, one that would, by the time they were done, it would be so far from the original meaning and the simple and plain meaning of the text. For instance, there is a verse in scripture which reads, "Touch not my anointed and do my prophets no harm." Well, one rabbinic interpretation of that, well, see, that's talking about children. And that means don't touch children, and you need to make sure that and it completely forgets what happened between Moses and Korah. They forget what happens between Aaron and Miriam and Moshe. And it's like, those are prime examples. Even the life of Dawid HaMelech is an example of the true expression of that, touch not my anointed, because he could have shish kebabbed Saul on a couple of different accounts. Okay, but instead he cut off his tzitzit, he cut off the corner of his robe instead. Okay, and it's just one of those things where, well, how do you get there from here? How do you say that that's really talking about children? Okay, when we have such demonstrations in the Tanakh of really what it's talking about. Well, see, this comes by means of the Perushim and all of their fanciful interpretations, because they decided that there are no more prophets. When the temple was destroyed, they said, you know what? There's no more temple, there's no more prophets, there's no more this, there's no more that. So basically it's shut off. It's cut off. And so it is from then that a number of different things began to spring into place, mainly that of a kind of Judaized version of humanism, okay, which we find, as we talked about before, in the oven of Aknai, and how supposedly, Yah says that his children have, triumphed over him. I mean, please. All of these things are, to me, they are not just a problem, but I feel like they're very fictitious. I feel like they're reaching. I feel like they're grasping at straws, reaching to be something that they really have no ability to embrace. And so it's just too much. It really is too much. We find by means of this period of time when rabbinic Judaism was coming into the fullness of what it was about to be, that again, with these fanciful interpretations, there were many revelations that were born out of this that led to the formation of Christianity itself. And one of them, of course, is the two Yahwehs theory, which comes to us again by interpretation. It comes to us mainly in the Kabbalah. It comes to us, and it really begins to take its height in Kabbalism. But not only that, it takes its height during one of the most influential times of Hellenism, where the Greeks were pumping their culture into Israel, into the minds and hearts of Israel. They were pumping their culture into Israel big time, to where it became okay for priests to leave the temple, strip down naked, and bathe themselves in the public bathing places, and also to go work out, right, in the nude, in Greco fashion, as I said before, they were men were going through. They were going through operations to reverse their circumcision, okay, which would mean that they would have to I don't even want to talk about it. It's just so gross. But anyway, it's got to be gross and painful. It's just ridiculous. Yeah, it's just one of those things that I feel is absolutely absurd. It's crazy to do. But this is what they did, trying to be like the Greeks, okay, wanting to be fully Hellenized and to embrace Greco-Roman philosophy as well as culture. They ended up creating a milieu, a soup, a kind of an atmosphere that was ripe to produce Christianity, okay? Because here's what you had. Here's what you had. They took scriptures, and let's go into the Tanakh, and let's go into scripture itself, and let's do this. And let's go here. Let's go to Exodus 23. I'm going to go to Exodus 23, and we're going to begin at 20. Now, for the sake of context, I am going to start above verse 20. Okay. The Most High was basically letting the children of Israel know, you know what, you guys are wicked. Okay, and basically I can't deal, right? I don't want to be in your presence. You are so wicked. And so by the time we get to Exodus 23 and 20, this is what the Most High says, which is a remedy. Okay, it says, look, behold, I send an angel before thee to keep you in the way. In other words, to keep you along the path and to make sure that you're protected along the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Now, this next verse is one of the most controversial because out of it, many have pulled, again, by means of fanciful interpretations, they have pulled out of this that there's this other being, this little Yahweh, and there are other scriptures that they use as well to substantiate that, but this is certainly one of them. It says, beware of him and obey his voice, okay? Provoke him not, for he will not he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. And they stop right there and say, see, this is an angel that bears the name of the Most High. Bears the name of the Most High. So if his name and his character is in him, then he must be like a little God, okay? He must be a little God, and so God is the big God, and with him being the little God, so actually then there's like two gods, right? Because he's the angel of Yah's presence. So if Yah's present and the angel is there, then that must mean that the angel is, God, right? Well, here's something that we see in this passage of scripture, and I feel like this is overlooked. The thought is that this angel is autonomous. He has the ability to do things, right? And notice in the next verse it says, but if you shall indeed obey his voice and do all that I speak. Did you catch that? Did you catch that clause? And do all that I speak. So wait a minute. So then when this angel is speaking, this angel is not speaking of its own will and volition, but it's speaking what the Most High speaks. Okay, that is a big difference. And I say that is a big difference because if you have an angel, and by the way, this is supposedly an angel, if you will, that we mentioned before. This is supposedly the angel Metatron. This is supposedly Metatron, and Metatron is supposedly this angel of the presence. And thing about Metatron is supposedly Enoch. Yes, Enoch that has been transformed into an angelic being. The same Enoch that was the seventh from creation, the same Enoch that was a human being, was somehow, by means of mystical lore and mythology, okay, Jewish esotericism, was transformed into an angel, and this angel was, of course, called Metatron. Now, Metatron itself is Greek, and it means something like beside the throne or next to the throne, okay? And so then this angelic being then is supposedly the angel of the presence, and they put the name on this. In other words, another Greek name of Metatron. Now, I'm going to say this. To me, it's no wonder that you have a angel with a Greek name that was actually a part of Jewish mysticism, which began to enter into its height in the 12th through the 14th centuries. And it mainly found a nested home in Kabbalah. And so you have Metatron being this angel of the presence that is not in the scriptures, but is mainly in the Kabbalah. Okay? And that being the case, then you ask yourself the question, well then by what means do they substantiate the existence of this being called Metatron? Well, what you may have guessed, it leads us right back to full circle. It leads us right back to Enoch, who they say was translated into this angel, where his eyes became fire, and his his eyelids became flashes of lightning, and his skin became, a blazing flame, and so forth and so on. But in his human state, he was supposedly the one who wrote about the angels, and the one who wrote about the Nephilim, and wrote about what would happen, and so forth and so on. So we have a kind of a circular path that leads us right back to Enoch 1, okay, which is the oldest of the Enoch series. There's Enoch 1, 2, and 3. Long story short, Enoch 1 is the one that people refer to when they say the book of Enoch. And so Enoch itself then is kind of a foundation for this Metatron. And it's ironic that Enoch is said to be Metatron himself, that was transformed from a physical being into a spiritual being of flame and fire. Okay? With that being the case, then you look and you say, well, it's no wonder then that the Qumran community, they also, listen, among the books that they also had a number of copies of the book of Enoch, and to them, with their understanding, Enoch was to be a part of the canon of the Tanakh. They did not have a copy of Esther, but they did have copies of Enoch, okay, the book of Enoch. And so they embraced, if you will, and even in their temple scrolls and in their scrolls concerning the sons of light and the sons of darkness, who we've kind of covered before, meaning that this was really a battle about the calendar, and talking about those who have a solar calendar, sons of the light, as opposed to those who have a lunar calendar, sons of darkness. And so the battle between them was simply about a calendar, right? Well, they embraced the book of Enoch, and they embraced the kind of apocalypticism that you find and would later find in the book of Revelation and in other books, where basically it was like, well, God's going to get you for what you did to us, right? God's going to get you, and he's going to prove to you that we're right. God's going to give you a smackdown. And so once he gives you your smackdown, everybody's going to know that we were right. And so with these apocalyptic writings, this was always the intent. We're going to be proven to be right. They're the ones that are wrong. But in the midst of the Qumran community, they used the book of Enoch as part of their polemic or their fight against the modern day priestly system. And they used it as a fight. And in this, we find something very interesting. You find hints of dualism, okay? And I'm talking about a dualism that is Persian, a dualism that is not Hebraic in its nature, a dualism that comes from Zoroastrianism. With this, you find that the B'nai Elohim, okay, and let's go here, because this also gives us clues and gives us an understanding that the book of Daniel is of late derivation. Okay, the book of Daniel was written around 134 to 150 BCE, right? And the Hellenism of Judaism, of Judah and Israel, the Hellenism of Judea began at 332 BC. Okay, and even before then, with trickles coming in by means of trade and by means of just, cultures rubbing up against each other. But the full force of Hellenism didn't begin until 332, okay, BCE, where Alexander of Macedonia basically conquered the known kingdoms of the world, and then went to Jerusalem, and they didn't even listen. Judea didn't even fight. They didn't put up a fight at all. They just laid down and, said, hey, take us, here. We're not even going to fight you. We can't fight you. So, hey, we're just going to go ahead and we're just going to lay down and just let you do what you want to us. And so Hellenism began, and Hellenism began to come into full force and effect. And you had roughly around 120 to 130 years where Hellenism was being pumped into Judaism. Hellenism was being pumped into Israel. And so then you get all these fanciful interpretations. You get Greco-Roman ideologies mixed in with some Hebrew. You get Philo of Alexandria trying his best, standing on his ear, trying his best to prove that you can take the Tanakh and be just as philosophical as the Greeks. See, we're just like you. See, we can be just like you. So, hey, why can't we be friends, kind of a thing? Well, with that being the case, they basically sold themselves. They basically sold themselves out. And so they take all of these Greco-Roman philosophies, and they take the Persian influence of Zoroastrianism, and it begins to gain inroads into Judaism, into Israel. And you can see that right in the book of Daniel. You see that right in the book of, and we're going to do a quick little comparison. So let's take a look then at the book of Daniel. And you notice here that in the book of Daniel, okay, you find the Zoroastrianism creeping its head into the book of Daniel. Okay, as we get to the, if you will, the explanation and the testimony of Gabriel, okay, again, who's supposed to be one of the Malachim, he's supposed to be one of the B'nai Elohim, and he is Gabriel, right? And notice what this reads here in verse number 11, and he, talking about Gabriel, said unto me, and by the way, this is Daniel 10 and 9. You can see it right up here in the corner. This is Daniel 10 and 11, actually. And he said unto me, okay, now it's 10 and 11. And he said unto me, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak unto you, and stand upright, for unto you I am now sent. And when he had spoken these words, I stood trembling. Then he said to me, Daniel, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Listen, I know, at my appearance and everything that's going on, you have every right to be afraid, but don't be afraid. It's human for you to be afraid, right? But he says this. He says that from the first day that you began to chasten yourself before the Most High, guess what? Your voice was heard on high, and I'm come because of your words. Okay? But now look at verse number 13. Verse number 13 introduces a level of Zoroastrianism, it introduces a level of Zoroastrianism that is dualistic, and you have angels fighting each other, the supreme good fighting the supreme bad. And here it is in verse number 13. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia, once again, we find with the B'nai Elohim, you find a level of geographical boundaries whereby these spirit beings were bound to these geographical areas, and they were not sovereign in any other area but their own. And you find this also being said of Yahweh. You find this being said of Yah, which makes it interesting, because in the concept of the B'nai Elohim, them being geographical in their assignments and them being sovereign in their assignments and in their geographical places, you see why Isaiah in Isaiah 6, you see why when the children of Israel were in exile and they were asked, hey, sing us one of them songs of Zion. Say, well, I mean, how in the world can we sing you a song of Zion, sing a song unto the Most High in a strange land, because the Most High is not associated with this strange land. And also, Isaiah 6, when he begins to see the vision and he sees the wheels turning within wheels, the two different classes of angels of the Ophanim, which are round and wheel-like in their nature, covered with eyes. And he's seeing all of this, mystical display of spirituality in front of him. Isaiah is like, man, this is crazy. So he's like, man, I'm seeing that the Most High, he has a Merkabah, he has a chariot, and he is able to actually, like a person, and forgive me for saying it this way, but what they're describing is something that is somewhat like a chariot, a something with wheels, that is basically not wheels, but the Ophanim angels, or the angelic beings, are the wheels. Okay, and so we have a living chariot, if you will, that is consisted of the Malachim and different beings, and the Most High rides upon the cherubim, and this is his chariot, and he's riding out from Jerusalem and Israel, and he is following Israel into their exile and being with them in their exile. That's the picture that is painted from Isaiah, the 6th chapter. And it is fantastic in its display. It's fantastic to imagine. But this is what the prophet said that he was seeing. But note, it was of later editing and interjection that the Most High was more so associated with other places rather than just Israel. Okay, later we would read verses of scripture that would say that the entire earth belongs to Yah and the fullness thereof. Okay, some have looked at certain passages of scripture and say, well, we see where there's another daddy God, if you will, and that daddy God was actually had sons, and one of the sons was, and I know that you all have heard this, one of the sons was Yah, and so then something somewhere somehow happened, and now Yah is the one that's the head God. All of these things you hear, but again, the foundation of it is Zoroastrianism, where you have gods actually fighting each other and going into fisticuffs. And that's exactly what we see here in Daniel in verse number 13. It says, but the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. And it says here, but lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the three kings, with the kings of Persia. So basically, we're talking about angelic beings duking it out, right? But wait a minute. This is something that is not uncommon in the ancient world view of those who lived in these days. They were used to gods or deities coming to fisticuffs and having cage matches. They were used to this, okay? Even in, you look at the scriptures, if you will, that reference how the Most High, in a number of different places, it talks about how the Most High, excuse me, how the Most High actually defeated the dragon, right? It talking about Rahab. Let's do this. Let's go to Psalms 89 and 10. Here you have an instance of, again, a knockdown, drag-out cage match. Okay? And notice what it reads here. O Yah, Elohim of hosts, Sabaoth, or of the armies, or of the B'nai Elohim, okay, all the spiritual beings in heaven, you are the captain over heaven's armies, who is strong like unto you, Yah, or to the faithful round about you. Now, the faithfulness round about you comes from the B'nai Elohim, and notice there is a sense of unity in the heavenly court. You rule the raging sea. Now we talk about the sea, which gives reference to the chaos dragon, which is of ancient Mesopotamian lore and Ugaritic lore, where you have the chaos dragon of Rahab, and there's others for Canaanite. There's a different name for the Canaanite version, but it says that you have broken Rahab in pieces. Now, Rahab is the celestial chaos dragon, because the ancients viewed all of, if you allow me to say it this way, that the waters that are above the heavens, okay, the waters that are above the heavens, which are separated from the waters beneath the heavens, the waters above the heavens belong to a sea, if you will, a sea of chaos, a watery sea of chaos that was styled in ancient mythology as, you guessed it, a dragon called Rahab. Okay, and so as we take a look here in verse number 10, you have broken Rahab in pieces as one that is slain, and you have scattered your enemies with your strong arm. Okay, so he said basically, you have defeated this chaos dragon, and notice what it reads. You've taken this dragon. Now, keep in mind, this dragon represents the watery chaos, okay, of things that are uncreated, the watery chaos. Remember, the earth was without form and it was void, okay? Even though the earth was there and the heavens were there, their condition was that they were basically chaotic, unformed. That's because Rahab, the chaos dragon, had her way with the heavens and the earth. Now, later this trickles into the theory that Satan destroyed, the heavens and the earth, and the Most High had to come back and restore it. Some have even said, well, no, the Most High destroyed it himself because of judgment, because of the people that were here before. And so now he's redoing it after the judgment, just like he caused the flood. Well, this was him wiping it out totally. Well, there's been many theories about this, but what we see here in this passage of scripture, that Rahab, the chaos dragon, was slain and was cut into pieces. Okay, now the ancient Mesopotamian mythologies suggest that out of the pieces there were parts of creation that were formed that became seas and earth and so forth and so on. Okay, which, as we see here, Rahab was cut in pieces as one that is slain, and you've scattered all other enemies with your strong arm. Now, because you've slain Rahab, guess what? The heavens are thine, the earth also is thine. As for the world and the fullness thereof, thou hast founded them. So here we have where in the beginning, this, you had a knockdown, drag out fight between Rahab and the Most High, right? And so you have other battles in scripture. You have other battles whereby the Most High will stand and will fight, okay? And the Most High is the protector, the ultimate protector of Israel, and the ultimate protector of his children, right? But there is yet and still this tendency for these B'nai Elohim to fight amongst one another. If we were to go back to the book of Daniel, we take a look at the book of Daniel and we read here in the book of Daniel. Let's dig into this a little more, because listen, in verse number 13 is not where it stops. Okay. It says, but the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. So they were in fisticuffs for 21 days. But lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of Persia. Now I am come to make you understand what shall befall thy people in the latter days, for yet the vision is for many days. Right? So he gives him pretty much the revelation of what is going to happen. Okay? And notice what it reads in verse number 21. Now, I brought this up, and let me read this first. Then said he, knowest thou whereof I am come to you? And now I'm going to return to do what? I'm going to fight. Okay? I'm pulling out my nunchucks, I got my sword, and I'm getting ready to fight once again with who? With the prince of Persia. Okay? And I am gone forth, lo, the prince of Grecia shall come. So now we have this picture that the B'nai Elohim are spread out over the different territories, okay? And you have a prince or a malach over Persia and one over Greece, right? But Michael has to come and fight for Israel, and Gabriel is fighting as well so that the message will come through, okay? Now keep in mind, the reason why this is important, because as we look at this ancient motif, here's what we find, that many times the victory of the people represents the victory of their deity, okay? So that a victory for Israel is a victory for the Most High, and likewise, a failure for Israel is a failure for their deity, except when it comes to the narrative in the Tanakh. You find that the Most High says, you know what, the reason why you lost, okay, is because you have forsaken me. You are the one that caused your battle to be lost. But the other cultures surrounding Israel looked upon the loss of a battle as being the loss of their deity. In other words, because we lost this battle, your God has beat up our God, kind of a thing. Like, my daddy bigger than your daddy. And so because they held this view, you have these notions of these deities fighting each other. But again, it comes from this Zoroastrian influence that came by way of Persia, okay, which was connected, as you know, between the Persians and the Medes, and their connection to Babylon is that, Babylon was full of that kind of a thinking when it comes to their gods, that, there's a knockdown, drag out, they have a cage match, and this one is against that one. And so with the Greeks then taking up, and I know that I'm getting into a lot, but with the Greeks then taking up, because they did not have a culture as ancient, they pulled from these ancient cultures their ideas of their deities, which is why you have a Kronos castrating, the father, and fight, all these gods fighting each other. Again, as is depicted in Chaos, okay, which is streamed through our television, through our televisions, that's basically reviving Greco-Roman mythology, okay? With that being the case, they're saying that they're fighting, these deities are fighting, and so by the time you get to 90 CE, 90 of the Common Era through 120 of the Common Era, you get the book of Revelation, which is the creme de la creme of knockdown dragouts between deities, because it says that, there's a dragon. Once again, the revival of the dragon and the revival of the Rahab concept. You get the dragon that took its tail and took a third of the stars of heaven, which, by the way, the stars of heaven are a euphemism for the Malachim, okay? It's a euphemism for the angels. And so you get where, once again, they're painting this picture, and this dragon is fighting, right? This dragon is fighting and making war in heaven. And supposedly, see, and this is why this part of the Christian New Testament does not make sense to me. Because when you try to intermix these Greco-Roman concepts and mythologies with the Tanakh, it just simply does not work. Something has to go. Something has to die. That being the case, you find where someone has to suffer, someone has to die, and guess what? It is the character and it is the pre-established and preordained understanding and truth of the Most High that ends up suffering. Because then you end up asking questions like this. If the Most High is so powerful, why does he allow this dragon, right? Why does he allow Satan? Why does he allow Satan to run rampant and then put him in the headlock, but then gonna release him for 1,000 years and then bring him back? What is going on with that? Why is that? I mean, what kind of deal is being made there, right? And it's just things that really don't jive, really don't make. But when I get back, I'm going to do a quick synopsis. We are finished with this particular session. We're going to do a quick little synopsis, and then we're going to let it go. Are increasing numbers of Hebrew Israelites all over the world, from Asia to Africa, from Mexico to Germany. There are Hebrew Israelites that are coming together as a nation and as a family, and you are needed. You are needed to take your place as the educator of your families, your sons, your daughters. So we want you to enroll in Navi Beit University so that you can take your place in the kingdom. Now is the time to prepare to create Hebraically centered scholarly materials to educate others, to teach your family, to teach your sons, your daughters, to teach the young, to teach the old, and to bring them into the knowledge of the Most High. The Most High is gathering us together as He has promised. So enroll in Navi Beit University, connect with the administrator and the registrars, and enroll today for just $35 for a bachelor's per month, or $45 for a master's, or even enroll in the doctorate program. You can get a degree with a Hebraic focus at Navi Beit University. Hebraic education, undergraduate, graduate, and specialty courses. All right. Well, we are back. Well, let me just give you a quick little synopsis of this before we move forward. Looking at what we have discussed concerning the B'nai Elohim, we have mentioned quite a few things concerning the B'nai Elohim and their relationship to the ancient understanding, the ancient worldview that our people had concerning the Malachim and even concerning the Most High. Looking at the B'nai Elohim, they were and yet are the sons of the Most High. There is something that we would need to cover, but it's somewhat controversial. Maybe we'll have that in the controversial corner. But the B'nai Elohim are the sons of the Most High, and they are spiritual beings. They are, if you will, they are divine beings that are spiritual, and not to be confused with the little baby angel, the little fat, pudgy, little cute baby angels with little butterfly wings on. Not to be confused with them, okay? But these are divine beings who have power, who are also said to be the watchers, who speak into the failure and the longevity of kingdoms, okay? And it's one of those things that, the Most High has established that they should be over different territories and in different places, okay? And that they themselves should actually have a level of rulership and authority in the earth. They are not to be worshipped. We are not to bow down our knee to them, nor observe them and try to summon them, so forth and so on. But we are to understand that they do serve the Most High, despite the fact that Zoroastrianism comes into play and says that they are basically this this cage match in heaven, and may the best God win. And so whoever, like anyone is up for grabs. It's almost like, you're watching Black Panther, and so someone's challenging for the kingdom. Well, these are the motifs that we find even in the Tanakh, and we find them coming into the Tanakh by means of other cultures influencing Israel, and other cultures affecting the worldview of Israel, and it even creeping into some of their ideologies, which we find in Scripture. Bottom line is that we are not done talking about the B'nai Elohim, because it is such a vast subject, such a vast topic, from the different kinds and structures of angelic beings to the Ophanim mentioned before, who look like wheels with eyes covering them, and to the seraphim, which are the serpent-like beings, and to even others that were with the Most High, who heard him say, "Let us make mankind in our image." Well, that being the case, there's much to discuss, there's much to talk about, but at this particular time, we are actually going to take a moment, and we're going to open things up for you so that you can actually, weigh in with a comment. You can actually weigh in with a question, and we will address your comment and your question. We're opening it up right now, and we're going to, from here, we're going to get into our different segments. Yes, we are. But we're going to open it up right now for questions regarding the B'nai Elohim. We're going to open it up. Those of you that would like to question or comment, the phone line is open. Now is the time for you to ask. You can ask your questions or state your comments right now. Let me tiptoe into the chat room so I can see what you all may be saying. I know that we went through a lot, I discussed a lot, but hey, let's see if we have any questions or any comments concerning the B'nai Elohim. Yes, I gotta say, please thumb up the video. Definitely give me a thumbs up. For everyone watching, there should be a thumbs up if you truly do. Maybe there's not a thumbs up because maybe some of you are like, "Hey man, I don't like what dude is saying." Well, hey, you're welcome to comment. As mentioned before, the phone line is open, and let's see what questions you may have. Now is the time for you to ask your question. Okay? And I will be right back. I'm going to let you get your questions together. Okay, I'm going to give you a moment to do so, and then I will come back, and if there are no questions, then we will go into the next segment. All right, peace and blessings, brothers and sisters. We do have a question. The question comes from our brother George Evans, who asks some very good questions. And he asks, does holy ones mean angels or humans that Yah, the Most High, has sanctified? Actually, when you look at it as a category, holy ones can be either angels or humans, okay? Holy angels can be Mal'akim or human beings. It can be either one of those, okay? And in fact, the holy ones, in fact, it is mentioned in scriptures when it talks about the saints of glory, the saints of heaven is mentioned in the Tanakh. And let me just find that for you, because there's a couple of scriptures here. And here is one, okay? Let's take a look here real quick, and I'm just going to show you, okay? Let's take a look here, and let's look at Psalms 89, Okay. And 5, it says, and the heavens shall praise thy wonders, O Yah, thy faithfulness also in the congregation, talking about up in heaven, right? In the heavenlies, in the courts of the Most High, in the congregation of the saints. The congregation of the saints, or the holy ones, okay? Talking about those who are in the heavens, okay? Please keep in mind, those who had passed on were said to be in Sheol. Sheol is not the heavens. It is a Christian concept that you have individuals in heaven, okay, floating on clouds, eating grapes. That is a Christianism that somehow has been adopted into Judaism itself, or I should say, into the Hebraic walk. We think that this place of heaven is where the dead are. Perhaps it's because there's that Christianism that JC went down to heaven and led captivity captive and brought them back to glory. But the Tanakh does not say that. The Tanakh says that those who are passed on, that they are in Sheol, or the waiting room of Sheol, if you will. But those who are in glory, who are in heaven, are the Malachim. Okay, notice when Shaul went to the witch of Endor, Shmuel, the prophet, Samuel, he came up from Sheol. Okay, he did not come down from heaven, he came up from Sheol, because this is supposedly the waiting place. Okay, so when it reads here that, we're talking about the congregation of the holy ones, this is referencing, and you see here, even in this software that I'm using, it has these Christianisms interwoven into the Tanakh itself. And notice it says group of people, right? These are definitely the heavenly beings. These are the B'nai Elohim. And notice who else it reads. It says, for who among heaven can be compared unto Yah? Who among the sons of the mighty? Okay? Who among the sons of the mighty? And in verse number 6, if we go to the Hebrew, it mentions the holy ones here, the Kedushim, okay, which it mentions for saints. And then it says the B'nai Elohim, the sons of the mighty. The B'nai, actually this is Elohim, okay, for the plural for El. It's talking about the sons of God. So we're talking about the angelic ones here, the sons of the mighty, who are also the saints, who are part of the congregation of the saints, or the assembly. So yes, the holy ones, or the mighty ones, does count for those who are human and those who are angelic. Looking at Exodus 21:6, let's bring the human factor into this. Notice what it reads here. It says, then his master shall bring him unto the judges. He shall also bring him to the door, or unto the post, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. Now, notice when it says the judges, okay, verse 6, then his master shall bring him unto the judges. Let's look at this in the Hebrew. It says that his master, his Adonai, basically this is Adonai for his master, the one who's lording over him, okay? He shall bring him unto who? Ha-Elohim. So here judges is the Hebrew word Elohim, because as we talk about men, human beings who are ordained and anointed of the Most High to rule, they are a part of the Elohim, which is often translated in the English as judges. So with that being the case, the mighty ones and the holy ones, those are the Malachim, but as well as they are divine men who have been anointed. And this is why David HaMelech did not hurt Shaul, the king, because he saw him yet and still as an anointed one. Let's go back into the chat room. I think that there is definitely another question. I agree with you, my brother George Evans. I don't like it either. The Greco-Roman influence in the Tanakh, I don't like it either. My sister Jacqueline Bug says, I saw draconians attached to motorcycles when... I'm sorry, wait, let me... hold on. My sister says, where's it at? Okay, there it is. I had to scroll back up and get it. She says, I saw draconians attached to motorcycles when I left my body, which is interesting. She says, I saw draconians attached to motorcycles when I... Man, that is interesting. Wow. Okay, so... And you are welcome, my brother George Evans. I think that at this particular point, I think that I don't think there's any other questions or comments, so we are going to move on to our next segment. What is our next segment? Yeah, it's Moshe in your kitchen. Moshe in your kitchen.
Shalom family, my name is Elvira and welcome to The Wife Life. For those who are new, I am a wife and mother of 3. I am a working, stay-at-home mom and I juggle homeschool in the midst of it all. In today's video, I will be sharing my Sabbath prep / night routine. This routine pretty much is how every prep day goes for me. For those who are new, prep day is a day leading up to the Sabbath day, which is Saturday. We don't buy, sell, cook, or work on those days, so there's a lot of preparation for that day of rest.
What would we do without chicken?
Grocery unloading, laundry, cooking, and much more. So let's get into today's video.
What would we do without chicken, y'all?
I normally grocery prep on Thursday to alleviate the long list of to-dos, but it never fails. Never fails. I always forget something, so I had to place a small grocery order with Amazon Fresh. Sometimes I use either Walmart delivery or Target delivery.
Do you all use that? Have you all ever used that?
Or whichever place has the items I need. But we just needed some last minute items, mainly snacks, because we love snacking on the Sabbath. What kind of snacks do you and your family like?
Do you all snack a lot on Shabbat? Do y'all snack a lot? I do keep some snacks, y'all. I may be accused of being the king of snacks because I've got snacks. Yes, I do. From the chocolate-covered pretzels to, all kinds of stuff. Chips and, my goodness, I have lots of snacks.
Here I am just preparing a small snack for eating in Mish. They always get a little hungry before nap time.
Now that looks like PB&J on one, and that looked like maybe some turkey and cheese on another.
Which is usually around 1:30, sometimes 2. Benny naps way before then. He goes down at 1 o'clock, so this is why you don't see him here. So I just decided to give them some berries and sandwiches of their choice. For the past couple of weeks, my Lord and I have been having salads for the Sabbath, so here I'm just boiling some eggs to make sure that those are prepared before the sun goes down.
I love it when the whole family helps. I absolutely love that.
So the kids decided not to take a nap today. So I don't know if it's because I was recording or what, but they did not take a nap. Normally Eden doesn't, but Mish normally takes a nap every single day. But today he was like, no. So I was like, okay, you all can help me with the unleavened bread. So they love unleavened bread. They're excited about Passover coming up. I know I am. But we're just making some basic unleavened bread. I usually make a batch every week. So they're just making...
Tell us about the ingredients.
Some vanilla unleavened bread with me. We like to just have that cut up in a bowl.
By the way, talking about snacks, look, okay, so my brother Gilbert says that I look like I'm the snack man. Hey, look, try this. Okay, try this. I want y'all to try this one time. Okay, now, this is something that I ran upon, and I was actually going to try to patent this. This is so good, I was actually going to try to patent this, okay? What am I talking about? You talk about a good snack. Very simple, okay? This will simulate having a caramel apple. You take a grape, a green grape, you can also be a red grape, doesn't matter, but mostly a green grape and one peanut, okay? And you eat them together, I guarantee you it'll be like a miniature caramel apple. If you ever want a caramel apple and you're like, man, I don't have a caramel apple, I don't feel like making a caramel apple, eat a grape and a peanut together. One grape to one peanut, I'm telling you, each one of those would be like a little caramel apple that you eat. It is absolutely wonderful. Okay, going back in.
To snack on as well.
I didn't hear any ingredients on this, did you all? That has to be cake, that's not cornbread.
Now that the eggs are done, I'm just taking those out so those can rest and cool. I place them usually in ice water so they can finish off. That allows the shell to come completely off the egg. Now I'm just going to go ahead and make my coffee. So like I said, we don't cook on the Sabbath, so that includes not making any hot coffee. So I definitely make my coffee the day before. I make it how I normally make it, and then I let it cool off before I put it in the fridge for some cold, yummy coffee. As I stated earlier, my Lord and I have been having salads for the last couple of weeks. So here I'm just...
Did y'all hear that? Did anyone else hear what I heard? She said, my what? My Lord and I? Did anyone else hear that? Women, do you call your husbands Lord? I'm just curious.
Cutting up some chicken breasts and seasoning that along with some chicken thighs. No, we don't eat all this chicken on one Sabbath. We actually lunch on this on the Sabbath as well as Sundays, since Sundays are really busy for us as well. So I'm just seasoning this with some onion powder, garlic powder, salt, pepper, smoked paprika, and parsley.
As of late, I've been getting into the smoked paprika. And it is good.
So I'm just frying up some fish. I actually cook it twice, so I like sear it on both sides to kind of get it kind of blackened, and then I finish cooking it in the oven for like 20 minutes. So the kids are just having that with some broccoli, and they asked for a boiled egg, I guess because they saw me cooking it. So I gave that to them. Finney wasn't a fan, so I gave him some applesauce. But usually after they eat dinner, they play for a little bit while I run their bath. This is like the most exciting part for them. They love taking baths, so yeah, they look forward to it. Now I'm going to go on with some bio oil. I like to put this on before I put my moisturizer on. My moisturizer I actually got from the Dollar Tree. It's the Dove Face and Body Lotion moisturizer, and it literally is $1.25 at the Dollar Tree. And this stuff is amazing. It keeps your face really moisturized without it making your skin super oily. To end off the night, I do go ahead and take a nice hot bubble bath and chill on the couch with my Lord. We usually watch classes and maybe catch up on a show after that. So
There he is. I was wondering if she was going to show him.
yeah, I really hope you all enjoyed and hope you all have a happy
I didn't see them eating, though. I would have loved to have seen them eating.
Sabbath. Shalom.
And by the way, I have not forgotten that I am going to be in the kitchen, y'all. I am going to be in the kitchen. And yeah, I'm going to make something. And I just haven't done it yet. But I'm going to be in the kitchen. I'm going to record it. And yes, we're going to have a good time in the kitchen. And yeah, let's get ready for our next segment coming up right away. All right, we are getting ready for our next segment. What is our next segment? Well, our next segment is actually going to bring to you, yep, the Scholar's Corner. Seems like we have a question here. Shalom, peace and blessings. Who's calling? Okay, someone hung up. Okay, listen, let's hold the calls and let's hold the questions until we open it up for that, all right? All right, so here we go with our Scholar's Corner. Let's go ahead. All right, today in the Scholar's Corner, what we're going to do is now we're going to visit once again someone that we have been parading in front of us for the past 3 weeks. However, we want to take a look at what he is saying from a scholarly approach. I had to look at this at first, for a couple of different times, and once I looked at this and I understood what he was saying, I wanted to kind of rethink a couple of things, okay? But let's go ahead and let's dig into the Scholar's Corner and let's listen to, once again, Dr. Dan McClellan.
The prohibition on same-sex intercourse that we find in Leviticus 18 and Leviticus 20 is not transferable to contemporary Christian societies in anything remotely approximating an authoritative way. Hey everybody, I'm Dan McClellan. I'm a scholar of the Bible and religion. We can consider a bunch of different features of this prohibition. One, what precisely is being prohibited? It is prohibiting a man from taking the insertive role in an act of male same-sex intercourse. You try to transfer that, you're not getting the whole package. You're just getting a prohibition on a man taking the insertive role in an act of male same-sex intercourse. Now, some people are going to object. Leviticus 20:13 condemns both parties to death, so obviously both parties are equally culpable. Well, no, that's actually not accurate, and that brings up the rationalization for the actual prohibition.
Okay, here's where I have a problem with what he's suggesting. And in fact, you know what? Maybe I should let him get through with all of it before I comment.
See, anciently sex was not an activity that two equal partners mutually engaged in. It was something that an active sexual agent did to a passive sexual object. And the agency and the consent of that passive sexual object were irrelevant. Now, what Leviticus 20 is doing is expanding on the penalties for the different illicit sexual acts that are prohibited in Leviticus 18. And in every instance, both parties are condemned to the same penalty, not because both parties are equally culpable. They aren't. The animal is put to death in the case of bestiality, but their agency and consent was obviously irrelevant. Leviticus is not commanding the animals to behave in a certain way. It's because this illicit sexual act was considered to generate a kind of metaphysical contamination that polluted the land and that could result in the land vomiting the people out. And this contamination was perceived to be produced because these sexual acts violated socially conventionalized boundaries and categories and hierarchies. And when it comes to male same-sex intercourse, men are at the top of the socially conventionalized hierarchy of domination. And so to sexually subordinate and penetrate a man is to violate that hierarchy and to violate his sexual agency, turning him into a passive sexual object. And they understood that contamination to be purged only through the application of the same penalty to both involved parties. Again, irrespective of the agency or the consent. Now that brings us to the motivation. What's actually underlying these outdated and scientifically inaccurate rationalizations? The motivation is the intuitive impulse to seek out sanctity and purity. This is what cognitive scientists call sexual disgust sensitivity, and there are a bunch of studies on how this contributes to opposition to LGBTQ plus identities. And this is something that can be mitigated and can be eliminated through education, through interactions with LGBTQ plus people, because you learn that there's nothing wrong with them. You learn that they are perfectly human and that there is no contamination.
Okay, I have to say that I could not disagree stronger. Okay, a lot of things that Dr. Dan McClellan, lots of things that he says, I'm like, hey, okay, that makes sense. That's good. Let me research that further. But this, at face value, it sounds to me like, dude, like this is a bunch of hogwash.
It's 1 o'clock.
Why would I say that it's a bunch of hogwash? Well, if I were to back up, he actually talks about how within sexuality itself, okay, the passive partner in this same-sex interlude, that basically there is no like volition of will, whatever. There's, you know, it's like that doesn't matter. The consent doesn't matter. It's because it's contamination. It's because it's filthy, and so both of them have to die. But you know, consent really is not a part of the picture. My reason for disagreeing with that would come from Deuteronomy 22, and beginning even within this larger scope of what we see about sexual impurity. That is discussed in Deuteronomy 22 between someone that is not married and someone that is a quote-unquote betrothed virgin. And notice what it says here. Notice what it says here. When it comes to verse number 24, okay, notice what it's, in fact, let me just back up. Look at verse number 23. If a damsel, and again, the topic and the subject is that of consensuality. Is this consensual? Is this consent? Notice what it reads here. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto an husband, and a man find her in the city, and lie with her, then he shall bring them both out unto the gate of the city, and ye shall stone them with stones that they die. Now, it actually gives you an explanation of why capital punishment is to be executed upon these two, right? And ye shall stone them with stones that they die. The damsel, why? Because she cried not, meaning she gave consent to the adulterous act, being in the city. In other words, she could have cried out and stopped it, but she didn't. She wanted it to happen, therefore she did consent. Okay? And the man, because he hath humbled his neighbor's wife. So, in one sense, I can simply say this, that in this, I feel as if Dr. Dan McClellan, even though he is a Bible scholar, I feel that he is wrong in this, because whether or not there is consent or not does come into play. And in his example of there being, in the example of bestiality, if you will, I can see his argument for contamination and for that is unnatural, and you definitely want to mitigate that and deal with that. And so we know in the Tanakh it says, hey, kill them doorknob dead. Okay. One of the reasons I believe that the animal also dies is because of the possibility of there being some kind of genetic hybrid or some kind of deformity, something that would affect even the offspring of that particular beast. And so basically get rid of it, get rid of it. And two, when you understand what happens within sexual intercourse itself, what comes from the man actually attaches to the brain of the female. Okay. This is why so many women and so many prostitutes have so many spiritual problems, is because they have too many links to individuals by means, I'm talking about genetically, and therefore psycho-spiritually and even chemically to different individuals, where they've taken on all of these different energies and all of these different potentials, if you will, and so they don't know how to negotiate that. I know some women who say that they are, help me because I feel like I'm about to go crazy, but they are highly sexual and they have been with so many different men. And part of the reason of their psychosis is that they have all of these other energies of all these other people in them that have not been negotiated, that have not been tamed, that have not been cleansed, if you will. And so, that comes out of the man actually attaches to the very body of that female, including her brain, okay? And not just the uterus, but actually her brain and parts of her nervous system is then affected by what comes from the man. And so I can understand the Most High saying, hey, this beast has been defiled. And so anything that comes out of this beast is going to be defiled. Get rid of it. Also, the person that did this heinous act, get rid of them. This is madness, right? So with that being the case, I can understand that, but this does not deny the fact that when it comes to judging, and again, the context is same-sex intercourse, you find that, yes, when it comes to human beings, consensuality and permission and all of that and going along, all of that comes into play, okay? All of that comes into play. And so I strongly disagree with, Dr. Dan McClellan. Because I mean, in this, I feel like his stance is just so far liberal, and he is not embracing the totality and the fullness of what the scriptures themselves read. Okay? Let's go just a little bit more. Okay?
Irrespective
And then
of
we'll
the
stop.
agency or the consent. Now, that brings us to the motivation. What's actually underlying these outdated and scientifically inaccurate rationalizations? The motivation is the intuitive impulse to seek out sanctity and purity. This is what cognitive scientists call sexual disgust sensitivity, and there are a bunch of studies on how this contributes to opposition to LGBTQ plus identities. And this is something that can be mitigated and can be eliminated through education, through interactions with LGBTQ plus people, because you learn that there's nothing wrong with them. You learn that they are perfectly human and that there is no contamination being generated by their sexual identity. So the actual prohibition itself is not transferable. The rationalization is obviously not transferable. The motivation, while it is still active today, it's not authoritative.
And how can you say that basically this part of the Tanakh is not authoritative? How can you say that? How can you stand upon that and say that it is not authoritative? Now, I strongly disagree with, Dr. Dan McClellan. I definitely agree with him. And with that being the case, I gotta give him the crazy award, which is this. Hey, that's just crazy. That's just crazy. Sorry, but that's just crazy. I can't get with that. Let's get ready for our next segment. Hey, I'll be right back. In fact, you know what? Let's open it up for questions. Let's see. Do we have any questions on that segment? Do we have any questions on the Scholars Corner? Let's see if we do. I'm going to give you an opportunity to weigh in with your questions and your comments right here. All right, let me give you a moment to get your questions and your comments together on that past segment. Hey, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. What? Christine Croning says, I totally disagree with him. I mean, to say that the Tanakh is not, I mean, how could you say that the eternal word of the Most High is not applicable, that it does not apply? Okay, I agree with you, Christine Croning. I also disagree with him. Okay. All right. Any questions about this? Hey, repentant and saved, glad that you're here. All right, all right. Hey, Timothy O'Haver, peace and blessings to you, my brother. I'm glad that you're here. Timothy says, I feel like this guy might be a recruit for the FEMA re-education centers. Well, hey, I mean, nowadays you kind of get kudos and you get, you score points if you are pro-LGBTQI. And, I'm just simply going to say, hey, the Most High has already established His word, and we understand what that means, and we understand the truth. Let me do this, and let me... Christian Croning says it's an abomination to the Most High for same sex to be involved in And you know, this is interesting because now I don't know if some of you even caught something that even I'm sorry, let me go back, because it is an abomination, but there are others who feel like they, you know, to put it lightly, they feel like, well, I got the can't help it. And I just can't help myself. I just have to do this. I got the can't help it. And I'm talking about when it comes to same-sex activity, when it comes to same-sex intercourse. Bishop T.D. Jakes said something that I have not forgotten. Back when, I think this was back when Eddie Long was caught. Remember when Eddie Long was caught? Okay. Things came out about him, and then T.D. Jakes had this prayer in his church, and in it he was saying things like, and in fact, even in this last scandal, right, where they were talking about P. Diddy and Bishop T.D. Jakes, T.D. Jakes said, there's no sense in me worrying about something that I can't change. Talking about, something that I tried to change and can't change it. So it's like, wait a minute. We were talking about homosexuality in relationship to other people, and you're saying something that you can't change, something that you've tried to change and can't change, and you feel like you're just in the hands of God's grace. I took note of that. And I'm like, there's more to be said concerning that. There's more to uncover with that. But the same-sex issue of intercourse, I mean, the Bible basically says that it's wrong. And so this is one of the harmonizations or one of the scholars' attempt to reinterpret this for our day and for our age and to make it okay, to make it all right. There is no point in time that you could say, hey, this part of the Tanakh, it is not applicable for us today. In other words, it has lost its relevance, it's lost its potency, and it just is not the eternal word of the Most High. It does not affect us today. I strongly disagree, even though I do respect Dr. Dan McClellan. I just disagree with him fully and completely on this, because in engaging his argument, I find that he loosely just disregards and minimizes the consensual aspect of the sin and how the Most High deals with the consent issue, as well as he is limiting the word of the Most High and saying that it is not applicable. It does not, it's not binding for us today. And so I'm sorry, I do not agree with that. And with that being the case, hey, and since there's no more questions or comments, we will move on to our next segment. Be right back. Okay, and let's get ready. Let's get ready for what? Well, let's get ready for our next segment. Here it is. Guess what our next segment is? It's time for How Hebrew Are You? How Hebrew are you? Do you know about the end times? Do you know about the end times? How Hebrew are you? Question number one. Which priestly line shall minister the burnt offerings in the last days when the Messiah reigns? Which priestly line shall minister the burnt offerings in the last days when the Messiah reigns? Is it A, the original and pure line of Aaron, which began in Exodus chapter Numbers 3, 5, and 6? Is it B, the priestly order of the Kohathites from Numbers 10 and 21? Is it C, the priestly order of the Merarites in Numbers 37 and 16? D, is it the priestly order of Zadok from Ezekiel 34, 15 and 16? Or is it E, none of these? Let's see who's going to weigh in. Weigh in with your answers. Weigh in with your answers. Let's see. All right, we've got some weighing in. Some weighed in and said D. Repentant and Saved says D. Jacqueline E. Bugs also says D. Josh and Penny say E. None of these. It's All Good says D. Anyone else want to weigh in? It's All Good says D. Jermaine and Repentant and Save says D. George Evans says D. Christine Croning says D. Bergen Paris says E. What is the correct answer? What is the correct answer to this question? Who is going to be the priestly line that is going to officiate during the days of the Messiah? Gilbert weighs in with an E. Celebrated Razorworks says E. Peace and blessings to you, Celebrated Razorworks. Okay, so we got 3 E's from Bergen Paris, Celebrated Razorworks, as well as Gilbert St. John. What is the correct answer? Drum roll, please. The correct answer is D, the priestly order of Zadok from Ezekiel 34, 15, and 16. Let's get ready for the next question. What will the Messiah do for his sons and the nation, which proves the human sacrifice of Christianity is false? Again, what will the Messiah do for his sons and the nation, which proves the human sacrifice of Christianity is false? Is it A, he will give his sons land? Is it B, he will give his sons and the nation cattle and land? Is it C, he will teach his sons and the nation to be priests unto Aaron? Is it D, he will sacrifice for his sins and the nation's sins? Is it E, he will sacrifice a bull, a goat, and a bird in one day? What is the answer? Who wants to weigh in? Oh, they're thinking about it. They're thinking about it. Oh, do we have any answers for this one? Do we have any answers? Oh, I see Josh and Penny. Josh and Penny say D. It's All Good says D. Repentant and Saved says E. Celebrated says D. KOI Oklahoma says D. Repentant and Saved says C. Bergen Paris says D. Jacqueline E. Bugs says E. Who else wants to weigh in? Will he give his sons land? Will he give his sons land and cattle? Will he give the nation and his sons land, or will he give? George Evans weighs in with a C. Jacqueline E. Buggs weighs in with an E. What is the correct answer? Oh, George Evans comes in with a C. Let's see if that's correct. Is that correct? Let's see. Is it correct? All right, hold on everyone. Something has happened to question number 3. It looks like we're gonna have to stop it right here. I apologize. We're gonna have to stop it right here, but we will come back. Yeah, we will have to come back with, make sure that we have 3 or 4 questions next time. I apologize, that was only 2 questions. We had an answer for a third, but we didn't have the third question, so we're gonna have to come back with that. But hey, I enjoyed that. That was great. That was fun. And give me a second. We're gonna come back with another segment. Here we are, and we have just one more segment before we allow you to enjoy the rest of your Shabbat. Yes, we have another segment, and guess what segment this is going to be? This is something new, but you know what? Hey, we need you to pick a side. Okay, so we want you to pick a side, and the reason why I want you to pick a side is because we are days away from something happening that is going to change the trajectory, or at least I want to say, in our minds, it's going to change the trajectory of the way that this country goes. So we need to pick a side to see if we are going to choose or walk in a way that harmonizes with either one of these individuals. Now, I know that they say that religion and politics are 2 things that you should never talk about, but as you know, we talk mainly about religion, we talk about truth, and we talk about the Tanakh. And so, yes, it's time to pick a side. Now, I'm not asking you who you're going to vote for. I don't care who you're going to vote for, but please understand that this represents 2 different strategies, if you will, whether you take a look at the person on the right feels as if, well, we need to go back to the 1950s, the 1940s. Some have surmised that there's going to be the reinstitution of Jim Crow. Others have said that there's going to be a complete reset where they kill up a bunch of people of African descent. Others are afraid of other things, okay? So others are looking at things being ran backwards completely. I mean, like completely. While others take a look at Kamala and say, well, man, I don't know, y'all. I don't know, because it's not that they have a problem with a female being president. It's just that she is pro-choice, and many cannot see themselves voting for her merely because of the pro-choice. I will simply say this. Yeah, I agree with you, Bergen. Yeah, we choose Yah. And it is written in the scriptures that we are not to vote anyone in office over us that is not. Oh man, I'm letting the cat out the bag already. But anyway, we are not to vote for anyone that is not a Hebrew. That being the case, if you pick a side, and I'm not stopping you from voting. I'm not saying that you're doing wrong if you vote. I'm not saying that at all, okay? I'm not saying at all that you should not vote, that you should not be political. I'm simply sharing with you what the scriptures say, and they say that if you are going to vote for someone, then you need to vote for a Hebrew. And I agree with my brother Bergen Paris on this. I choose Yah, and I choose what he says, and I do not choose merely what men may want me to choose. I choose Yah. That being the case, hey, I want to say we are at the point to where we can open it up for any questions or comments before we sign off and let you enjoy the rest of your Shabbat. I'm Malkia Uriel. This has been wonderful. This has been fun. We're going to open it up and just let you ask your questions in just a moment. Numbers of Hebrew Israelites all over the world, from Asia to Africa, from Mexico to Germany. There are Hebrew Israelites that are coming together as a nation and as a family, and you are needed. You are needed to take your place as the educator of your families, your sons, your daughters. So we want you to enroll in Navi Beit University so that you can take your place in the kingdom. Now is the time to prepare to create Hebraically centered scholarly materials to educate others, to teach your family, to teach your sons, your daughters, to teach the young, to teach the old, and to bring them into the knowledge of the Most High. The Most High is gathering us together as He has promised. So enroll in Navi Beit University, connect with the administrator and the registrars, and enroll today for just $35 for a bachelor's per month, or $45 for a master's, or even enroll in the doctorate's program. You can get a degree with a Hebraic focus at Navi Beit University. Hebraic education, undergraduate, graduate, and specialty courses. All right, here we are back once again. We are opening things up for questions and comments. There was a question, I think, that was pointed to me that said something about Kennedy having strong faith. Kennedy is with Trump. Any thoughts that he will end up running the CIA? I would say that would be disaster. In my opinion, a Trump regime, period, would be disaster. Some would say, hey, let him be president and let the whole thing just burn to the ground. Let this entire society burn to the ground. Let him burn America to the ground. But you should understand that if that were the case, if people said, let Trump rule again, let him burn it down to the ground, there would be other countries that would come in to pick the meat off the carcass, if you will, to come in, swoop down, and make good of the fall of the United States. And so I say, hey, I feel like a Trump regime, another term for him, would end up being disaster. So definitely not. Do I think that disaster would be thwarted? I think that it is looming over the head of America regardless, because everyone has to be responsible for what they have done. And as a nation, America has to be responsible. And karma, as they say, it's payback is real. So whatever the United States has done, she's going to have to embrace that and lie in the bed in which she will sleep. And of course, we understand that the Most High has other plans for us. So that being the case, that addresses that. I don't see any other questions or any other comments that I need to address. I don't see. I'm taking a look here. And I don't want to scroll back too far. If you have a question or comment, please resubmit it. If not, then hey, then we will get off and we will let you enjoy the rest of your Shabbat. Going once, going twice. One of the comments that comes through says, you should put African Exodus on your Scholars Corner on Israel Uncovered documentary, so we can hear your take on the breakdown. And you know what? That is a very good idea. I think we're going to make that happen. How about that? We're going to make that happen. So with that being the case, you know what? KOI Oklahoma does ask us a question. He says, what is your take? Excuse me. I've been talking a lot. I got to clear my throat. He says, what is your take on Jeremiah 31 and 27? Well, we can definitely go there real quick. Let's go to Jeremiah 31 and 27 and let's read upon it. And let's weigh in on this. Let's take a look here and let's see. The question is, what is your take on Jeremiah 31 and 37? I'm going to do a quick check to make absolutely sure that I have the correct verse. 31 and 27. I knew that I should check. 31 and 27. Taking a look then at it. Okay. Let's go ahead and let's read it together. It says, behold, the day is come, saith Yah, that I will sow the house of Israel and the house of Judah with the seed of man and with the seed of beast. And it shall come to pass that like as I have watched over them to pluck up and to break down and to throw down and to destroy and to afflict, so will I watch over them to build and to plant, saith Yah. In those days they shall no more, in those days they shall say no more, the fathers have eaten sour grapes, and the children's teeth are set on edge. But every one shall die for his own iniquity. Every man that eats the sour grape, his teeth shall be set on edge. Behold, the days come, saith Yah, that I will make, and this is, of course, that famous verse of scripture, that I will make a renewed covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. So the original question was, well, what is my take, if you will? Boy, my cursor, What is my take on Jeremiah 31 and 27? Well, to take a look at 27 again, this being the emphasis, behold, the days come, saith Yah, that I will sow the house of Israel and the house of Judah with the seed of men and with the seed of beasts. This is mainly that the sowing of us, it really gives you the picture of planting. In other words, seed being planted, us being planted. Now, you can look upon this two different ways, as if the Most High is going to come and fulfill his promise to take all of us right back to Israel and right back to Jerusalem and bring us to the Holy Land. Okay? That is one way that could come to pass. Also, in being on the land, actually having a level of prosperity and multiplying as a people without any resistance, with ease, and basically the Most High blessing our progeny, if you will. That is another way that this can also be brought to pass. But we're talking about plenty. We're talking about a restoration of plenty. We're talking about a restoration. We're talking about growth as a people. We're talking about growth in the implementation of prosperity, which is what the beast represents. So we have here a promise that the Most High is basically going to set us up. So he is going to prosper us and we are going to multiply. That is my take on this specific verse of Jeremiah 31 and 27. That being the case, hopefully that suffices. Let's go back into the chat room and let's see. And if there's anything addressed to me, please put my name on it, right? And thank you, my brother George Evans. I appreciate that. Ben Naphtali, peace and blessings with you, my brother. Peace and blessings. Glad that you are here. And with that note, I just simply want to say I am beginning to choose a time of 11 a.m. Central Standard Time for Shabbat morning coffee. And we have a call. Peace and blessings to you. Shalom. Who's calling?
Gilbert. Shalom, Elder.
Hey, how are you? We are good over here.
Listen, Elder, you're a very good scholar. I got two of your books. Listen, may you please, and one also during the segment, can you teach about the people? Like, I understand that we are Hebrews, but there's certain people who don't know the history rich about the different islands. Who are them? Like, or Haiti, or Jamaica, people are still, it's hard for me to read them and tell them, hey, we're the people of the book, right?
Yeah.
Like Warren Molly said, like, we're the people of the book. And there's a lot of people who would like to hear a scholar like yourself and who is expanding on the different places where we are scattered.
Yeah.
And you could have, like, what your research, what you did while you went to Africa and what you learned and stuff like that. I'm trying to even have a location in Haiti where people could come in and well, let's hope Haiti could get a little better.
Yeah.
Where people could come in and see how the people live there, not what the social media or what the media tells us, but how the people really lives in their habitats.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
Well, thank you, my brother. I appreciate that. And you know what? I will do that. And I do think that it's needed. When I look at the certain people groups of Africa, I look at, here's what we're going to have to do. We're going to end up having to, by means of cultural anthropology, we're going to have a look at the cultural memories, their social system. I mean, basically, we have to look at the whole package, right? And then we're going to have to kind of like back engineer that and look at that template, look at that motif, and find out where that comes from. Okay, with doing that and looking at cultures and people and looking at the from the standpoint of cultural anthropology, you're going to come across individuals who say, well, no, they only did that. Like, for instance, even with the so-called American Indian who circumcised their children on the 8th day, who held a Passover-like feast, who had many of the same laws and many of the same statutes as we do as Israel. People will say, well, see, they only did that because, a missionary came over here and a missionary taught them, how to do all that, And so you always run into that. People use that as an excuse. But with that being the case, I simply want to say that we would have to dig into cultural anthropology. We'll have to wage that war of people saying, well, they just know that because because somebody came in and taught them that. What we kind of need when it comes to cultural anthropology and finding out who is Israel and who is not, you kind of need the situation like you have with the Dogon, where the Dogon actually said that, you have this Potolo star, Sirius B, you've got that star, and they said that decades before science caught up with them, right? So we need a situation like that where we could say, hey, definitely this was in the culture long before, a missionary would have come or somebody would have, tried to introduce them to the Torah. But I agree with you. That is something that I'd be happy to look into. That would be something I'd be happy to, share what I've discovered. And let me put it all together.
Okay, because I'm looking at what's going on with the Haitians and the Republic, how they are, and I'm seeing videos, and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, no.
It's just that, and there's a time they said, like in the latter days, the time of Jacob's trouble, and I'm wondering as well, like if the gentleman decide to take power, if that's the way of the Most High. And we don't put our hands in it, and that's his choice to make. Let the power that be, he allow it to be.
Yeah.
It's gonna be an interesting. It's gonna be an interesting season for us.
It is. Going
forward. So I appreciate it. That's all. That's basically my take. I was asking. That's all.
Okay. Well, not a problem. Hey, I appreciate you, my brother, and yeah, I will definitely do that. And I appreciate it. And anything else that you think of, please feel free to throw the idea my way, okay?
Oh, yeah. And Elder, one more thing. I apologize due to the fact of things that happened when I was in Haiti. Unexpectedly, but I'm keeping the vow. So we'll be hearing from you soon.
Okay. All right. Thank you, my brother.
All right.
All righty. Shalom. All right. Thank you, my brother. I appreciate that. All right. So as we take a look here and as we look at what questions may remain, I think that we are good to go, y'all. I'm going to just check here and Okay. So looking then here, there's one more question. Says, does the end times mean the end of evil on earth and that Yah's ways will be done by the people in the earth? Actually, no. Again, it is a Christianism that we have a place where, long story short, there is no more bad that could happen. There is no more, sin on earth. When we take a look at this, in fact, again, I'm going to have to use this as an example. Let's go into the scriptures real quick and let's take a look. One of the most astonishing and most vivid pictures of the kingdom comes to us from Isaiah, the 65th chapter. Now, there are other chapters, there are other verses, but this is one of those that comes into play here that gives us a real understanding, okay, of what it's going to be like. Now, notice what it reads here. in Isaiah 65 and 13. Therefore, thus says Yah Elohim, behold, my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. So in other words, if we were to scroll up here, he's actually talking about, he's talking about those who are disobedient. He's talking about the sinners, those who are wrong, okay? And he says, your iniquities in verse 7, and your iniquities and the iniquities of your fathers together, saith Yah, which have burned incense upon the mountains and blasphemed me upon the hills. Therefore, I will measure their former work into their bosom. In other words, they're going to get exactly what they deserve. And so here, as the kingdom is manifest, okay, notice what it reads here. There shall no more be an infant of days. Now, we're talking about, in fact, let me even back up even further to give you an understanding that we are talking about this glorious age, right? Where it reads that those who bless themselves in the earth shall bless himself in Elohim of truth, and he that swears in the earth shall swear by the God of truth, because the former troubles are forgotten. So we're talking about a new age, if you will, a new time. We're talking about the Messianic age. And he says, because they are hid from mine eyes, for behold, notice what he says, I create. Again, he uses the word bara, which means that he is going to create, bring about, he's going to use what's there and repurpose it and refashion it and reform it. And because of that, they're not going to be completely different, but no, they're going to be new in the sense of their function and their form. It's going to be a new heaven and a new earth. It's going to be the same earth, but it's going to change in its form and its function. And it says, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come to mind. But be ye glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing, and her people a joy. So those of us who are used to Jacob's trouble are not going to have to fret Jacob's trouble any longer, because we're going to be rejoicing, and those former days are not even going to be remembered anymore. But now look at this and understand that this is the Messianic age. For he says in verse number 20, there shall be no more than an infant of days, nor an old man that has not fulfilled his days, for the child shall die 100 years old. So there will yet and still be death, even though there will be resurrection. There will be death in the kingdom. But notice what it reads in verse number 20, but the sinner, so there are also going to be sinners, being 100 years old, shall be accursed. And they shall build houses and inhabit them. No, you're not going to be on clouds eating grapes, but yeah, you're going to have to build houses. You're going to have to plant your own vineyards, make your own garden, right? But this is the kingdom, and this is the fulfillment of the age that the Most High has desired us to experience. Look at verse number, and again, I'm proving to you that this is the Messianic age and that these are supernatural days that's interlaced with the kind of normal everyday practicality that we experience here on earth. And it says that they shall not build and another inhabit. So yeah, you're going to have to build. Hammers are not going to be done away with. Tools and utensils are not going to be done away with, right? Also, notice what it says here. They shall not plant and another eat. Verse 22, for as the days of a tree are, the days of my people, and mine elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands. So we're talking about living, going back into those days where we lived literally for hundreds of years. And so here we see where there is a mix, where while we will have long life, we will have prosperity, we will have joy, we will have the kingdom, there will yet be still the possibility of sin. There will be the possibility of someone dying, and there would be the possibilities of things being just as they are now, but we shall be blessed of the Most High with long life and with prosperity, and with the guarantee from the Most High that we will be able to enjoy the fruit and the labor of our industrious hands. That being the case, let me tiptoe back into, thank you for the question, but let me tiptoe right back into the chat room. And I want to say thank you for that question. And let's see here. Let me just back up a little bit. I'm looking. Yeah. That was from my brother George Evans. And as I take a look, I don't think that we have any more questions or comments. Okay. And that being the case, I think we're able. Oh, let me see. Okay, I'm just double checking, everybody. I'm double checking. And so, okay, I think that we are good to go. I think that we are, hey, we're ready to skedaddle. I'm going to enjoy the rest. Man, I'm going to eat me something. And I'm getting ready to lay up and wiggle my toes. And I just want to say, once again, you all, this has been a pleasure. I love each and every one of you. I thank you. You're helping me fulfill my life purpose, and I appreciate you for that. And I want to thank you. I'm going to thank you for being here, giving me your time and your attention, which are the two greatest gifts you ever could have given me. And I want to say this as well. So, Repentant and Save asked the question. She says, at Nokia, she says, you know what? So we won't walk through walls? That's an interesting concept. That's an interesting, so you're asking, are we going to be a ghost? The general motif is that the resurrection is going to be a physical resurrection. Okay? It's going to be a physical resurrection. And I'm not saying that we won't walk through walls, but I am saying that we will have supernatural abilities. And I want to say, hey, I'm ready for it. Bring it, right? So, hey, I love you all. I appreciate you. I'm getting ready to enjoy the rest of my Shabbat. Can't wait. Got some good food waiting for me upstairs. And I can't wait to eat, lay back, wiggle my toes, and, hey, just simply go ahead and enjoy the rest of Shabbat. Thank you, my sister Jacqueline. That was funny. She said grapes and peanuts for the next 10 minutes for our. Appreciate you. Hey, listen, love you all. I'm out. I appreciate you. And may the Most High bless you on this week. May He keep you. May He make His face to shine upon you. Everything that you put your hands to do shall be blessed. May it be easy and smooth and without stress. And hey, we're going to. My brother, please present that passage on next time, and I'll be glad to talk about it. I'll be glad to mention it. Please make sure that you remember it and then present it last time, and I will talk about it. But hey, peace and blessings to each and every one of you. And peace and blessings to you, my brother. My brother Gilbert said, stay away from the kitchen. I can't do it. Ain't gonna happen. I'm getting ready to go grub big time. So, hey, we'll see you. And by the way, I've got some Jamaican food in my fridge, man. So peace and blessings to you. I can't wait to get to it. May the Most High bless you. Shabbat Shalom. We'll see you next time, Yah willing.